for aligning our double tax agreements with OECD recommendations?
Question number 10, Eugenia Sage.
Mr Speaker, thank you. My question is to the Minister for the Environment and asks, does he agree with Forest and Bird President Mark Hanger, who said, quote, "In putting the forum's recommendations to one side, the government has undermined the good faith and trust that we put in the forum to help address the freshwater crisis facing all New Zealanders."
Mr Speaker.
The Honourable Dr Nick Smith.
No, and that view is not shared by the 65 forum organisations nor the majority of the environmental groups that are on it. The forum's recommendation have been at the core of the national overhaul of freshwater management. We have put some recommendations to one side, such as the forum's recommendations that the government put government appointees on all regional councils. Given the member's vehement opposition to us doing this in Canterbury, I'm not sure the member would want us to do that to every regional council.
Supplementary.
Supplementary question, Eugenia Sage.
What is the point of collaborative processes such as the Land and Water Forum when he cherry-picks their recommendations, forcing major environmental organisations like Forest and Bird and Fish and Game to withdraw?
Mr Speaker.
The Honourable Dr Nick Smith.
Mr Speaker, I would note that important environmental groups like the Federated Mountain Clubs, the Whitewater New Zealand, Ecologic, the Environment Defence Society, Landcare Trust do not share those views. I think it is fair to say that with Kevin Haig, League Forest and Bird, they've mistaken their role and now an extension of the opposition.
Supplementary.
Supplementary question, Tim McIntyre.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. What has been the response of the Land and Water Forum to the government's latest steps to improve water quality, including the goal of 90% of lakes and rivers being swimmable by 2040?
Mr Speaker.
The Honourable Dr Nick Smith.
The Forum said in its press release last week, these proposals represent another important step forward in improving New Zealand's freshwater management. They said that they particularly welcomed that the government had adopted the stock exclusion proposals that were hugely important to improving freshwater and of which regional councils have made very little progress over the last 25 years. They also included areas that required further work over the detail, particularly around the issues of ecological health and nutrients and how regional councils should respond when those indicators show that things are not making progress.
Supplementary question, Eugenia Sage.
How can he say that the government has made progress with the Land and Water Forum's recommendations when its own Secretariat in its assessment shows that over half of the recommendations haven't been implemented?
Mr Speaker.
The Honourable Dr Nick Smith.
Yes, it is true that we have not implemented recommendations like of establishing a new Land and Water Commission, recommendations like of government putting appointees on every regional council. But if you look at the core of what they recommended, and that was a national policy statement that this country never had until this government, regulations for stock exclusion regulations, well, Mr Parky had 9 years and you did nothing. And we've made far more progress in 8 years and we're proud of it.
Order. Supplementary question, Eugenia Sage.
Was lobbying from irrigators in the dairy sector the reason he largely ignored the Forum's recommendations on swimmability and ecological health and came up with something very different?
Mr Speaker.
The Honourable Dr Nick Smith.
No, the key issue about swimmability is standards that are practical. The reality is that New Zealand rivers regularly flood. During those periods, E. coli limits peak. And with the swimmability standards that are being proposed by members of the opposition, you'd end up labelling most of the rivers in New Zealand as unswimmable simply because they flood, and that is illogical, and we are the party of practical environmentalists.
Question number 11, Jonathan Young.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. My question is to the Minister of Transport and asks, what updates can he provide on the government's accelerated regional roading package?
The Honourable Simon.
Mr Speaker, the government continues to make strong progress on delivering its package of accelerated regional roading projects across New Zealand. It's my pleasure to recently open a new section of State Highway 3 north of Normanby in Taranaki. We have invested $18 million to realign and improve the capacity and safety on this important stretch of road. The local community has, as I know the member knows well, campaigned passionately for much-needed safety upgrades to the road, which has a history of serious and indeed fatal crashes. That's why I'm proud the government's been able to step in and deliver a new road that will deliver reduce, the risk of crashes and significantly cut travel times for road users.
Supplementary question, Jonathan Young.
What other projects is the government delivering through the accelerated regional roading package to improve safety and support economic growth in Taranaki?
The Honourable Simon.
Mr. Speaker, supporting the growth of Taranaki through the transport network is a real priority for the government. That's why we're stepping in and investing $135 million on the Mount Messenger to Awakino Tunnel bypass projects, as well as a range of safety improvements along State Highway 3. The bypasses and other planned safety improvements will ensure this important stretch of road is safer and much more reliable to travel on. All up, this and other projects demonstrate the government's strong, ongoing commitment to investing in Taranaki in its transport development and economic growth.
Question number 12.